Hello students, welcome to the second part of our second chapter of NCERT Class 10th Economics, Sectors of the Indian Economy. In the previous part, we learnt about the sectors of economic activities and classified them on the basis of a few important criterions and learnt about the classification under nature of activity as primary, secondary and tertiary sector. And one by one, we went through each sector and the examples of each sector. We also discussed a few questions that can be asked from this subtopic. So our today's topic is comparing the three sectors. So far we have learned that the various production activities in all the three sectors, primary, secondary and tertiary, produce a very large number of goods and services. So the next step is to see how much goods and services are produced and how many people are working in each sector. So your next question can be, how do we count the various goods and services and know the production in each sector? You might think with so many thousands of goods and services being produced each day, this would be an impossible task. Not only the task would be enormous, you might also wonder how we can add up cars, computers, small nails and furniture. It won't make sense. You are right in thinking so. So to get around this problem, our economists have suggested that instead of adding the actual products, we need to add the values of goods and services. Now what do we mean by the term values? Let's take for example, 10,000 kgs of wheat needs to be sold at the rate of rupees 8 per kg. So the value of this 10,000 kg of wheat is going to be rupees 80,000. Another example can be, suppose you have 5,000 coconuts. Suppose you have 5,000 coconuts and they are to be sold at rupees 10 per kg. So the value of these 5,000 coconuts will be rupees 50,000. So instead of adding the 5,000 coconuts, we add the value, that is 50,000, of the product that is being formed. But while calculating the total production, one needs to take a very important precaution, that not every good or service that is being produced or sold needs to be counted. Only the final good and service are counted. Now what do we mean by final goods? The goods and services that reach the customer or consumer are called final goods. A similar term to final goods is intermediate goods. What are intermediate goods? The goods that are used up in production are known as intermediate goods. Let's understand both these terms with an example. Suppose a farmer sells wheat to a flour mill. So the wheat being produced or the cultivation of wheat falls under my primary sector. And when the farmer sells this wheat to a flour mill, the mill converts it to flour. And the production of flour by the industry is going to fall under secondary sector. After producing flour from the mill sells the flour to a biscuit company. And the biscuit company uses oil, sugar and various ingredients and turns the flour into biscuit. So in this case, my wheat, flour, oil and sugar are going to be my intermediate goods. And the biscuit that is finally being produced is known as final good. So instead of adding the value of wheat, flour, oil or sugar, we should only add the value of the biscuit that is being produced, because biscuit is my only final good. Now your question can be, why only we add the value of final goods and services? Though we used oil, sugar as well as wheat to produce biscuit, but we calculated or added only the value of biscuit that is being produced. Why? The reason to this question is, the value of final goods already includes the value of all the intermediate goods that are used up in producing the final good. So to count the value of flour, wheat separately would therefore not be correct, because then we would count the value of same thing a number of times. It would just be a repetition of counting the same thing again and again. First we count it as wheat, then as flour, and finally as biscuits. Therefore, only the final good needs to be counted. A very important term, gross domestic product, is related to the explanation we did previously. So when the value of final goods and services produced in each sector during a particular year, we get the total production of the sector for that year. And the sum of the production in all the three sectors is going to give us the gross domestic product of our country. We need to add the value of all the final good in each sector. That will give me my total production. And when we sum the production in all the three sectors, we get the gross domestic product. You can be asked to define what is gross domestic product for 1 mark in the exam. And you can define it this way. It is the value of all final goods and services produced within a country during a particular year. So the task of measuring GDP stands for gross domestic product. So the task of measuring GDP is going to be a very enormous task. So this task is undertaken by a central government ministry. And this ministry, with the help of the various government departments of all the Indian states spread across the country, collects information relating to the total volume of goods and service and their prices, and then they finally estimate the GDP of our country. The GDP includes consumption, investment, government spending, and the value of exports and imports. And that way we get the GDP for our country. Now let's see a question which is a quite easy question. Arrange the following in correct sequence. You have cotton from farmer, you have cloth market, third you have garment factory, and fourth end market. So you can easily identify that first we get cotton from farmer, that is my primary activity. Then you go to garment factory where the cotton is being converted into a piece of cloth, and then my piece of cloth from garment factory goes to the market, and then it finally reaches the cloth market. So my option A is going to be the correct option. Let's see another question that is again and again being asked in the board exams. And this is a different type of question that can be asked, that is assertion and reasoning. In such type of questions, they give you a statement and they also give you a reason for that statement. In such type of questions, you have to check whether the reason is correctly explaining my assertion or not. In this question you have, your statement is not every good or service that is produced and sold needs to be counted to know the total production in each sector. This is something we discussed recently. And the given reason is the value of final goods already includes the value of all the intermediate goods. So you have to check whether this reason is correctly explaining your assertion or not. I think the reason is correct. The value of final goods already includes the value of all the intermediate goods. That's why we need not count every good or service that is being produced. So I can directly tick my first option, that is both assertion and reason are true, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Such type of questions are being asked in your board exams for 1 mark. This type is known as assertion and reasoning. So let's move towards our next subtopic, that is historical change in sectors. At initial stages, the primary sector was given most important for the total production of our country. But over a long time, as new methods of manufacturing were introduced, my secondary sector gained more importance. Factories started expanding, and secondary sector started giving more contribution in the total production and employment of our country. But in the past 100 years, service sector has become the most important in terms of total production. So first it was my primary sector that was most important, then secondary sector, and finally tertiary sector is currently the most important sector which is giving contribution to my gross domestic product. Primary, secondary and tertiary sectors in India. You can see that in 1973, my tertiary sector contributed only this much part to the GDP. But by 2003, the tertiary sector has suddenly expanded and it has been contributing the most part to the gross domestic product of our country. So you can easily identify that which was the largest producing sector in 1973. In 1973, my primary sector was the largest producing sector. And by 2003, my tertiary sector became the largest producing sector. So can you say which sector has grown the most over the 30 years? Yes, tertiary sector has suddenly increased to a great extent over the past 30 years. Now there are various reasons why my tertiary sector could have gained importance. First reason is, in any country, basic services like hospitals, educational institutions, police stations, etc. are required. These are the basic services which are required by every country. So these basic services, expansion of these basic services led to the rising importance of tertiary sector. The other reason can be, as we studied in in the tertiary sector, that the service sector directly supports the production of my primary and secondary sector. So when agriculture and industry would develop, the services like transport, trade and storage will also automatically develop. So that's why the tertiary sector is rising to importance. The third reason can be, as the income levels rise, certain sections of people start demanding many more services. Like they want to eat out, they want private hospitals, they want to go shopping, tourism, they want private schools, professional trainings, etc. So as the income levels are rising, people want more and more services. That's why tertiary sector could have gained importance. And the fourth or the most important reason can be that certain new services based on information technology and communication have become important and essential. The production of these services has been rising rapidly. But however, you must remember that not all the service sector is growing equally well. You should remember that the tertiary sector involves two types of services. The first services that include educated people of my tertiary sector, and the other part includes small shopkeepers, transport persons, repair persons, etc. Both of them are working under service sector, but their working conditions are quite different and their salary and their total income is also different. So only the educated part or the educated section of my tertiary sector is gaining more importance. Let's see a few questions. Tertiary sector is not playing any significant role in the development of Indian economy. This is a given statement that tertiary sector is not playing any significant role in the development of our country. So do you agree? Give reasons in support of your answer. So this question can be asked for 3 marks and you have to support your answer. Why you gave the answer as yes or no, whether you support the statement or not. The other question can be, highlight any 3 factors responsible for the growth of service sector in the Indian economy. This question can also be asked for 3 marks. And in this question, you can directly take any 3 points from this part of the chapter and you can answer the second part of these questions. So this was our today's class, that was on comparing the sectors of Indian economy.